In the next few videos, we're going to talk about migrating from Exchange 5.5. Now, I've included that in this course because Microsoft has included these skills as skills that will be measured on the exam 70-284. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to totally cover the whole process here, but I am going to give you the basics and just kind of get you started and cover you on enough basics that you'll be able to navigate the exam successfully. About the next 4 videos, we're going to talk about migrating issues off of Exchange 5.5. First thing to notice here is they're talking about migrating. They're not using the word update. You cannot upgrade Exchange 5.5 to 2003. So you have 2 basic choices. The first one being a coexistence kind of a situation. This is one in which we're going to install Exchange 2003 into an existing 5.5 site. So Exchange is going to be a server in a 5.5 organization. Exchange 2003 will. And what's going to happen here, the good thing about this is both systems continue to work during the migration period. Now this is the Microsoft recommendation on large rollouts, because both systems continue to work. Now, it's not the most efficient to do, and you want to get on through this process as quickly as possible. But the 5.5 directory service, that standalone directory service that was in Exchange 5.5, and Active Directory through Exchange 2003 are synchronized together, and they communicate back and forth. Now, that is the Microsoft recommendation. Now, there's another option that's completely viable, and that's a complete migration. And in a complete migration, the Active Directory connector is not needed. Now, we'll talk more about the Active Directory connector later, but that simply means there is no synchronized process between 5.5 and 2003. We're simply going to move data out of the old 5.5 environment into the new Exchange 2003 organization. We're going to set up a totally new Exchange 2003 organization and simply migrate data over into it. There's some gotchas there. We'll talk about those in an upcoming video. There is no coexistence here. This is a one-shot deal. You do the migration and boom, you're on Exchange 2003. In a large organization, this is usually either not possible or it's not advised because you want to move it in little sections. Now, let's talk about the basic steps. If we're going to go the coexistence route, let me give you the basics. Learn these basic steps, and this will help you navigate some of the exams and help you prepare for the actual migration itself. Number one, you need to make sure that your Exchange 5.5 servers have Service Pack 3. You can go to Microsoft.com Exchange and do a search for those service packs and find them there. You need to download them and install them. Then we want to just do an Exchange 2003 setup. First of all, we want to make sure that all the Windows 2003 services are set up before we install Exchange onto the Windows Server 2003 system. We need to run Forest Prep. We need to run Domain Prep on the 2003 box, because what we're doing is we're making sure that Active Directory is ready for Exchange. Then we're going to install the Active Directory connector. Then we're going to use the Active Directory migration tool to populate Active Directory. Now think about this. We know that we're going to move Exchange information from 5.5 into Exchange 2003. One of the things we need to do is take the user information off of 5.5 and the NT4O platform that's going to be on, and we need to create objects, user objects for all those mailboxes, users, and so forth in our Active Directory on the 2003 side. So that's what the Active Directory migration tool is going to do for us. Active Directory connector is going to set up that relationship or set up that connection between the two. Then we're going to install our Exchange 2003 servers. Then we will run our Active Directory connector tools, which will basically pull that data across and synchronize those. And so what's going to happen is we're still going to have the directory service on Exchange 5.5, and we're going to have user objects that match those over in Active Directory. And then when we're finally finished with all this, we can run the Active Directory account cleanup wizard. The basic steps where coexistence is not needed. And this is where we're just going to migrate the data. We're going to set up an Exchange 2003 organization and just pull the data over and take off from there. This is going to be a basic install of Exchange 2003. So we're going to enable our Windows 2003 services on a box that has Windows Server 2003. We're going to run Forest Prep and Domain Prep. No big surprise there. We will do a full install of our Exchange 2003 server. Then notice we're going to run the Exchange Server Migration Wizard, and I'll show you this a little later. Notice if I do Start, Programs, Microsoft Exchange Deployment. Let me show you that right quick while we're here. Notice if I do Start, Programs, look at it. Lotus, Lotus Notes, Novell GroupWise, and so forth. Notice we can do just from LDAP using ADSI. But to migrate from Exchange, we'll click Next. And notice it's telling me I've chosen to migrate from Exchange. If you're coming from a 5.5 server, verify that the LDAP service is active. We're going to migrate to a computer. Now, it recognizes that there's an LSBRG server out there that it can see. And then next, it's saying, okay, what's the name of the Exchange 5.5 server? And I can put the name here, the administrator account here, and the password, and I'll step on through the process. I'm not going to do it here. But that's how easy it is to kick this off. And then it will grab mailboxes and so forth. Now, there are some gotchas here that you need to be aware of, and we're going to talk about those in the next video or two.